What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the fighting game tutorial series. In today's episode, we are going to be going over cleaning up and improving our projectiles in our fighting game. So recently in the series, we've been going over a lot of cleanup topics. That's because we've been covering some major topics for the final episodes of the series, which are the rollback netcode episodes, the story mode episodes, the AI episodes. And to properly accomplish these things, we want to make sure our game is cleaned up and ready to go. We'll get more performance, more scalability, and overall a better system, a better game by these improvements. We've gone through just about every one of our systems now in our game, and the main one that we have left is the animation blueprint. We've already done a lot on that as well, but we're not quite finished with it yet. We just recently did our hitboxes, and because of that, we changed the way a few things work specifically for those hitboxes on the projectiles. And we had previously cleaned up our projectiles, but we were waiting on the hitboxes to finalize them, so this is that episode. We're going to be going over cleaning up our projectiles now that our hitboxes are cleaned up, as there's a little bit more to do with them. I also want to fix our spear projectile. In cleaning up our project, we changed around some of our rotations, we cleaned up some discrepancies that we had in our project, but because of this now, we don't send the spear the correct direction when we throw it. And because of that, it doesn't ever hit the endpoint where we either hit our character or miss, because it's only checking on the y-axis, which is our left and right axis from this perspective. If you want to get caught up in the series before you check out this episode so you can see everything we've done, like our character select screen, our different outfits, our different stages, our special moves, our stage intros, and a whole lot more, I'll link you to the entire fighting game tutorial series right here in the top right corner. Alternatively, if you don't care about that and you only care about projectiles, making projectiles for a fighter, projectiles in general, such as a fireball, Scorpion's get over here move, and a couple others, you're still in the right place. You don't need to follow along with the whole series to follow along with this episode, but I do recommend that you check out at least the first episode of Projectiles, as we're going to be building on top of that logic today. This is using our entire projectile system and just taking it to a higher level. I'll link that episode right here in the top right corner. Now with that out of the way, we can go ahead and get started. This is a code and blueprint tutorial series. As I already mentioned, we're going to be converting some logic from blueprints to code, so we will be working in both today. Let's start out by going to our blueprint projectiles. That's in blueprints, functional BPs, projectiles. There's one in here called default projectile BP. This is the parent blueprint class for all of our projectiles. As a child of this, we have proj_horizontal, which is our fireball. Now the first thing that I want to do in here is super simple, but this event tick that's disabled, it's not getting called. I just like to remove those nodes to clean up the graphs, so I'm going to do that there. But the important part of this projectile is that it is handling this event initialized projectile. This initialized projectile is actually a blueprint implementable event in our code. If we go to baseprojectile.cpp and baseprojectile.h, we had converted this function to a C++ function, or rather we just made it in the header file here. We wanted to make it a function that we could define default behavior in the C++ file, but we never actually did that, so I just left it here commented out. And in today's episode, we're going to handle that. The other thing of note in here is that the proj horizontal has a velocity of -1000 on the x-axis. The reason I'm mentioning this is because you saw that the projectile spear shot out at the wrong direction. If we go to the class defaults on projectile spear, you'll see that the velocity of 800 is on the y-axis. If we change this and make the velocity -1000 on the x-axis, it will fly out at the correct direction and speed. This is the default because projectile spear is a child of projectile horizontal. So if we want to change the velocity here, we can make it -800. Now if you go into your project and use your spear, you see that my spear actually launches the correct direction. Now there's still an issue with it, and that is the spear doesn't actually collide with the character. This is the very last thing that was in our hitbox conversion that we did not cover, and I commented on that a lot in that episode. But in today's episode, we'll make sure that that collision still works and that spear still works. Regardless of that though, now our spear is flying the correct direction. Next thing I want to do is handle making that initialized projectile event that I showed you in proj horizontal in the code, like we originally intended. Currently in baseprojectile.h, initialized projectile is a blueprint implementable event. Blueprint implementable event means we can call this function in code, but the logic is going to be done in the blueprint. We can change this now to a blueprint native event. This means that we can handle logic in C++ for any default functionality, and then we can override it in the blueprint, similar to how you override a function in code, like how a child class can override a parent. For example, the base projectile is a child of a pawn, so we can override things like the tick function on the pawn class. It's the exact same idea. If we make this a blueprint native event, we can go into the base projectile.cpp and we can uncomment this function. Now we'll have the initialized projectile here, and we can relaunch the editor. Now you'll notice this won't build, but that's okay because that's intended behavior. To make a blueprint native event work, you have to update the code function. Specifically, you need to put the underscore implementation after the initialized projectile. So if you call it initialized projectile underscore implementation, this is how Unreal knows that this is the fallback for the blueprint native event. So try building again and launching the editor. Now the editor is back open, and if we go to our projectiles, blueprints, functional BPs, projectiles. Default projectile BP doesn't use initialized projectile, but now it should because the code implementation is going to be the default behavior. We're assuming that all blueprints want to have this as well, unless they specifically state we don't want to override and use the parent functionality. If we right click in here, we can now add our initialize projectile. And we want the event here. Now we can right-click on Event Initialize Projectile and select Add Call to Parent Function. What this will do is allow this blueprint to call the parent function, similar to how we do super in C++. So like in begin play here, super begin play is calling the parent's begin play, which is actually calling a pawn's begin play. Then we can compile and save. Now let's go to every child, so projectile homing. We already have behavior in initialize projectile. This is fine, we can keep all of this behavior. But what we should do is make sure that we have our call to the parent function of initialize projectile. So I'll move everything else over in this function. We'll right click on event initialize projectile and add call to parent function. So it's like we're calling super initialize projectile and then overriding it with the logic that we only want in the horizontal projectile blueprint class here. That was actually proj homing. I kept saying proj horizontal, but that was proj homing, but we want to do it in proj horizontal as well. Just move everything over. And we will add our call to the parent function here. And good to go for proj horizontal and proj homing now. Next one is proj spear. This one was already making the call, the parent call to the initialized projectile because we were using the parent of proj horizontal. This one will naturally do the logic that we want, so we can skip that. Last is proj up from ground. This is our flame tornado, and the same deal applies here. We just want to move everything over and make sure that we call the parent function right here. Make some more space. And there we go, something like that is perfect. So now all of these projectiles will call the parent function. If we are to load up our game, you'll see that nothing has really changed, and that's good, that's what we want. We just want the ability to handle C++ logic and still have those blueprint children inherit that behavior. So feel free to test out all your projectiles. They should all work except the spear. As I mentioned earlier, the spear does need a little bit of love still, but we're going to give it that love. Perfect. That was a success. The next thing that we want to do is fix up our spear. If we go to our functional BPs, projectiles, projectile spear one more time, the reason that this wasn't working after the previous episode on hitbox improvements is because we were specifically checking to see if the owner of the hitbox was the projectile spear. That way we could call speared character on it when it hit the character. This is fine, it was working, but it's so hard-coded when we can simply just make a function that we call and handle behavior in when a projectile collides with a character, and then we can do specific logic based on that projectile class. Now the first part we've already done. We already have a function in the base projectile.h and base projectile.cpp called collided with character. This is going to handle logic when this projectile collides with a character, which is exactly what we want. But we need to do the same thing that we just did for the initialized projectile, which is make a blueprint native event. So we can have logic for when a projectile collides with the character, but then we may want to have blueprint overridden logic. So blueprint implementable event does work here because we could just make another function that gets called and each child overrides it. So it wouldn't be speared character anymore, but whatever that new function is that we make. So it's up to you if you want to use a blueprint native event or a blueprint implementable event, but we do need another function here. Activate projectile specific logic when this projectile collides with a character. This top one, collided with character, is going to do all the base stuff that projectiles do when they collide with a character. So in this case, we were spawning our hit effect, if we should have one, and then we were calculating the durability of the projectile. What I'm suggesting is we add another function very similar to this, but to handle the specific logic for each projectile when that collision occurs. The things in collide with character right now are intended for all projectiles. If we have a function here that's overridable for each projectile, then we can customize that behavior a little bit more. So if we do something like void collided with character effect, and we can take in a fighter template character pointer other character. We can definitely put this in collide with character and make this a blueprint native event, but I kind of like the idea of separating these so that we can choose if there is an effect for our specific projectile, but collided with character can remain functionality that we do expect to check for all projectiles. Let's make our new function U function blueprint callable. And we need to also make it a blueprint native event or a blueprint implementable event. So again, if you want a code backend, we can make blueprint native event. If you want only blueprint backends, we can make it a blueprint implementable event. This is a case where we don't have any code behavior that we have intended for it right now. Let's make it a blueprint native event right now. Since initialized projectile is, we'll stay consistent, and I think it's pretty nice and clean. Now, collide with character effect just needs to be called at the end of collided with character. Now, the intention of this is to not just spawn some VFX or something. We can already do that. The intention is if this projectile is going to be persistent after this hit, then influence the character that it hit in some way. The specific instance that I have here is the spear. The spear draws the hit character toward the attacking character, but there are many, many instances that I can think of. Off the top of my head, I can think of something like a wave, where we want to push the character back as this projectile hits them. Not just push back from the attack itself, truly form a wall and push against the character. And that means I'm only going to call this function if we don't destroy the projectile. So I will add an else statement here. If the projectile is not going to be destroyed by the collision, then we'll call collided with character effect. Trigger projectile specific behavior on the target character. We want to pass in other character that was passed into this function into our new function now. If you made it a blueprint native event like we did here, then we want to make sure that we make this function void a base projectile : collided with character effect underscore implementation. A fighter template character pointer other character. If you did not make it a blueprint native event and made it a blueprint implementable event, then you won't need to make this code function. In fact, it won't work if you do. Now we can start the editor again. Now the editor is back open again, and we're already in blueprints, functional BPs, projectiles. We can go to default projectile BP. In here, we can now search for our event collided with character effect. We can right click on this and add call to parent function and pass in the exec node and the parameter. This means all default projectile BPs that don't override this event will automatically do this behavior and call the code class. Things like projectile homing and projectile horizontal don't have any behavior that's related to this. Since our C++ function is empty right now, we don't really need to add these overrides in here. We could leave them alone if we want. Or if you intentionally don't want to do anything for a projectile, you can add the event collided with character effect and intentionally not do anything. So this event will be triggered or called and nothing will happen because we're not doing anything with it. I'm not going to do that, I'm just going to leave it out. But there are cases where you may want to have a blueprint or a child code class that doesn't follow any of the parent behavior, in which case you override it and don't call super, don't call the parent class. Projectile homing and projectile horizontal are perfectly fine without this. Projectile up from ground is also fine without this. However, projectile spear is where this really shines. We had this function speared character. I mentioned earlier that speared character was being called in the hitbox actor BP, and it was. We removed that. What's going to happen here is we're going to use that new function or that new event that we made, and this is what's going to get called and handle all of our spear logic. So I'm removing speared character, just straight up deleting that event, and I'm going to get my collided with character effect event. And this is going to plug into this behavior, but let's make sure that we also call super, or again, our parent call on this function to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to be doing. So right click on collide with character effect, add call to parent function, pass in other character into that other character. Make sure that we're being nice and neat with our nodes here. Then pass in other character to where the speared character ref was being passed into previously. And now we have our logic looking like this. So collided with character effect will now trigger whenever we call it in collided with character, which is what happens when a projectile hitbox collides with a character. At this point, we're nearly ready to have all of our logic working, but there's one more thing to do with our spear. We want to go into our mutant hitbox data table. If we go to blueprints, library BPs, mutant HB data, we can look for our hitbox associated with this spear, which is get over here HB1. In here, we had the hitbox transform with a location of -300 on the y-axis. This was valid before we rotated our characters and made them face the correct direction. We want to put that -300 on the x-axis and keep the 0 value on the y-axis. This will allow the hitbox to appear in the right spot, the expected location based on where we had it before. We can go ahead and test this, and the hitbox should appear correctly, but there's still going to be one issue with it. So I'm using my spear. It collides, it connects, but it's dragging them the wrong direction. That's what we're going to solve next. This is what we'll be doing in the next episode, as there's a couple places in our project where we still have some rotational differences. But one thing I would like to do right now while we're on the topic is go to our projectile spear and projectile horizontal, which is our fireball. Go to the static mesh and make sure that they can both be 0. Right now the fireball is rotated this strange way. I don't believe there was any reason for that, but there certainly isn't a need for it anymore with the changes we've done in the series, so I'm just going to revert that, as well as the location. So 0 rotation, 0 location for our fireball and our spear. I tested these changes and they look perfect for me. If you need a location offset or rotation offset for any reason, of course you can keep it, but I want to make sure we're consistent. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on cleaning up your projectiles, improving them, make them more scalable, and a lot more. If you did, please subscribe and consider joining the Patreon, YouTube membership, or Discord subscriptions to help benefit the channel and myself. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support, and for everyone who has. You guys are fantastic. If you ran into any problems following this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There is a link in the description, and I would be happy to help you out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.